quarterback Deveon Bryant, and MVP James Green. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach George.
What an exciting game. My hat goes off to Arkansas-Pine Bluff at Arkansas, Coach Alonzo, Hanson, and the staff. We knew they were going to be resilient coming in. It was a game that I felt like we could have closed the door a little earlier. But we have to learn how to close out defensive games effectively. But we answered back when we needed to. We came up with a big defensive stop when we had to. Came up with a big turnover. James obviously closed the game out with scoop and score. But this is a game, where we're going to learn a lot from. You need those type of games to really find out who you are in the fourth quarter. And both teams really fought hard, and it feels good to finally be on the winning side down here in Memphis. We made it a point this week that was one of our goals was to come out of here with a victory. We hadn't been unsuccessful the last 2 years, and we understand that Memphis is a big Tennessee State alumni location, and we wanted to show and prove in front of our home crowd and get this thing rolling in the right direction for the month of September. And so here we are.
I'll take questions for the student athletes first, and then for Coach after.
All right, James. Team started coming back on you all. What was the talk among the defensive leaders, and how did you kind of right the ship?
Yeah, things kind of got out of hand, but the mindset was just put the ball down and keep playing. Just got to keep worrying about the next play. We can't dwell on the mistakes we made, so mindset was just put the ball down and keep playing the next play.
Deveon, I did have a question for you. Now, I know there's a little bit of a quarterback rotation, 2 quarterbacks playing, but you kind of got a rhythm, kind of got things going. What were you seeing from the defense that allowed you to kind of take advantage of them from different times?
All the concepts that we started to run were just open. We just had to execute it on our end. So the defense gave us good looks, but we were able to get open and find holes in the defense and be able to move the ball down the field.
Now, as far as another question I have for you, the decisiveness. I noticed that you're really decisive in the pocket. Were you just seeing things pretty clearly, or just was just going with what was there?
I was just taking what the defense was giving me. Just reading my keys and just delivering strikes and getting the ball to my playmakers.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Are you guys good? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hold on, we have something for you.
All right. I guess.
Oh, nice.
To our MVP,
Yes.
Which one? MVP?
so which one did you Mr. Green.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
To Coach Eddie George and the TSU Tigers.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
One more, please.
That is nice.
Turn around, Mr. George.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, it is here. Y'all earned it too.
Congratulations.
Right for sure, Coach.
Great team effort. Great team effort.
Awesome.
That's your turn. It's time for the middle. All right, we'll take questions for Coach George. Any questions for Coach? I'll second yours.
I understand you were at a couple of very games last night, very high school games last night.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd you go?
Oh, boy. I went to Arlington and Bartlett, Mumford, and who else?
South.
Yes, yeah, I went to those 2 schools.
Okay. Why those 2 games in particular?
Well, all of our coaching staff was out at various games. There's a couple kids that we're looking at both sides that are high on our board. So I was made it a point to go out and see it up close and personal. What you see on tape and highlights and huddles, you can't take it for what it is. You got to go and see and feel and and see what kids are doing in real time, and how they handle adversity, you know, how they communicate, their body language, all of that from play to play, you know. So it was good to see, get under the lights and see these kids in action.
Yeah, is that you talked earlier this week about kind of the importance of recruiting this area and,
Yeah, absolutely.
and the emphasis you put on it. Is that kind of a tradition that you make? Because every time, you know, these last at least 3 years, during this week when you get a chance, you get out and try to catch some games?
Yeah. The first year was just really trying to get my arms wrapped around the whole business of coaching. We didn't have an aggressive recruiting plan. We tried to hit a couple schools here and there, but it was nothing that was really intentional. Well, this year, you know, we have Kevin Mashak, who came back, who's our recruiting coordinator. He's done a phenomenal job of laying out a full plan in terms of how we want to attack these areas and really utilize our time wisely while we're in town to go see high school kids, because this business is all about, you know, recruiting. You know, you can create a culture, a lifestyle, you can do all these great things, but you got to find the talent. And Memphis has a rich talent here in this area, and we want to make sure that we were seen, we're known, we're being very intentional about recruiting more kids in this area. We have 7 kids in our roster from the Memphis area, but we want to continue to grow that number.
Yeah, you mentioned that you got kids on your roster from this area. Why is it important for you to continue to recruit this area?
They got dudes here. They got some dudes in this area, and they fall within the 250-mile radius for us, and they play some excellent football here. You know, I mean, this is where a lot of the great kids come out, and we want to keep them here. We want to show them, hey, you can get to wherever you want to be from Tennessee State University. We have a lot to offer. We're growing. You know, a lot's going to be changing in the next year or two, from a athletic standpoint, from a campus-wide standpoint. You know, great city of Nashville, strong alumni base here in Memphis, Tennessee, with Tennessee State. We want to put our flag here and keep it there, and keep our kids in state and have them come to Tennessee State, Nashville.
Coach, early on in the game, it was the offense that really got things going with the 2 touchdowns. But how proud are you of your defense for stepping up late and getting that stop and turnover?
Well, honestly, I thought we were going to pitch our first shutout, you know, for some time there, but they gave up the touchdown. We were driving back down to. I felt like it was a touchdown. Had we scored the touchdown, it would have put the game out of reach. But we had the fumble, and then we gave up a quick touchdown. I'm like, oh, okay, this is now a game. Now we got to find out who we are. They were able to do some things in the boot game, you know, in the flat, hitting the tight end of the flat, screening us, hit a couple runs, and they were finding success and finding a great deal of momentum. And they had to grow up. I kept saying, hey, have a positive response, you know, even in the midst of the chaos. There was a point in time, maybe 2 years ago, where we would have folded and found a way to lose the game. But we kept saying, hey, to stay positive, stay together. And a lot of it came down to the guys really believing in each other and loving each other. You know, I think that's the one thing that they're fighting for one another. And that's the one thing I heard on the sideline is that, hey, we're good. We'll find a way to get it done. They did.
Coach, the last couple games, the first 2 games, of course, you've been rotating quarterbacks. In this game, it seems like Deveon Bryant is kind of taking a step forward. Now, is the quarterback rotation going to continue, or is Deveon kind of cemented himself as the guy?
I think he separated himself tonight. You know, I think I hate to rotate quarterbacks. I really do, because it's tough for them to get into any type of rhythm. That's not a knock on Draylon. You know, I think he has to get more reps. He has to get more time. You know, when Stretch, I call him Stretch, when he led us down the 99-yard drive, he had confidence in what we were doing. He was seeing the game finally. You know, like you said, he was taking what the defense was giving him. He wasn't gun shy. He wasn't patting the ball. You know, he trusted, you know, his keys, and he believed in those keys, and he just kept striking and with confidence. So moving forward, you know, we're going to continue to go with the hot hand until otherwise. So that's what we want to do. And I think, you know, having Draylon there certainly is a big plus for us. We will, at some point in time, have to find a way to utilize Draylon, because he's a talent that, you know, just can't sit back there. So, you know, it's a good problem to have. It's great competition in the room, and we just have to keep getting better moving forward.
Some more questions for Coach?
Coach, you talked about having a shutout through 3 quarters, then they really put a couple drives together on you. Was there anything that they did differently, or what do you think led to that?
They executed. I mean, there was a couple times where our eyes got bad on the defensive side. We missed a couple opportunities, especially when they bring the tight end out the backside of the boot, hit him in the flat, missed a tackle, breaking off big runs. You know, number 32, I was very, very impressed with him. I watched him all last week and how sudden he was against Tulsa and how quick he was making guys miss, how hard he ran. I knew at some point he was going to be a problem for us, and he was. So they were able to hit us on the screens and some runs, and the quarterback made some plays. And, you know, our defense, you know, that's the strength of our team, and they've been in those situations before. And I just really felt that at some point they were going to find a way to make a stop, and they made it happen. And, you know, we were able to block a field goal at the end.
Last question for Coach?
Yeah, you get your first Southern Heritage Classic win as the coach at TSU. How much of a momentum can this be for the program as you guys head in this conference play?
You know, that's a great question, man. We have won 1 game prior to tonight in September since I've been here, and you know that means a lot when you can jump out and find a way to win, going into conference play, playing these types of games, winning this trophy, being down here in Memphis. It means a lot in terms of momentum. Now we have to learn from it and grow from it. By no means are we satisfied with, you know, how we played. We're happy we won, but in order for us to get better and to compete at a higher level, our goal is to win a national championship. And that effort out there tonight, especially in the 4th quarter, with the exception of finding a way to win, letting a team back in it, that's not going to do it. So we have to develop more tenacity and a killer instinct in times like that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.